introduce our first guest up, and it's Simon Guerrier. To the stage, please, Simon. Hello, how are you? Hello. Hello. I don't know how it is that nice for you? Can you hear Simon okay?
Sorry. Is that better? Hello.
Cool. Excellent. Do you want reverb or no?
No.
We can do effects.
Let's see how boring I am first.
We could do a remix. Simon Guerrier, you are a writer, author, script writer and filmmaker. Can we say that?
Yes.
Yes. And I thought what we'd do, is there anybody in the audience that's an aspiring filmmaker themselves or not? There's a few.
Okay, what about writers?
Writers? Yes. Excellent, okay. Well, we're going to be talking in depth about that for the next half an hour or so with Simon. I'm going to be picking your brains. But I think we'll start straight away with the Guerrier Brothers. Would you like to tell us about what that's all about?
So I do the writing. My brother Tom is a director, and we made some films. And we made a film with Mark Gatiss, and we made a film with David Warner, and we made a film with Nicholas Pegg. And and we have made no money from them, and we're very poor, and my wife and child live on gruel.
This is true, actually. They're short films.
Yes.
So there's a special way of making a short film, isn't there? I mean, the long film, a proper film, an hour and a half, you can... A proper film fleshing out characters, but with a short film, I think it's harder. You've got to catch people very quickly and go bang, bang, bang. What's the trick? Or was that it?
Oh, that's a question. My brother will tell you at great length that actually, when you set up a film, whatever the length of it, you've still got to do the paperwork, you've got to do the casting, you've got to do the location, all the other stuff that he does that I ignore. And so there's a case, and I've heard a few people say this, that actually setting up a short is as much work as setting up a full feature. Especially because when you're setting up a short, it's usually, you're not paying anybody, or you're rarely paying anybody. So you have to do a lot of it yourself. You don't have a staff to help out. So you actually do an awful lot of work to do a short. And there's all sorts of weird things, like we discovered that once you finish shooting, you're halfway. Which is just really depressing.
What does that mean?
So when you've written a script, it takes multiple drafts of the script for everyone to be happy. You get your cast together, you get your filming dates together, you get to the week before filming, and everybody who's going to be in the film or work on the film gets paid work and disappears. So you've got 2 days to get a new cast and crew together. You shoot the film, you film it, you do very long days trying to get everything in. When you've done that and you've got everything filmed, you're halfway. Because you've got post-production, you've got to get the film into festivals and places to see it. There's lots of application forms, there's lots of... Just all of that takes a long time.
Do you get involved with all that, or is that just your brother? You just write it and walk away?
I would love it if that's what I did. I have this idea that that's exactly what I would do. So I do sort of, basically, you just help out. And so I've done everything from filling in application forms to ringing people up to chase them about bits and pieces to on the Plotters, one of the short films I did, we realised we needed, the idea is that it's Guy Fawkes and his gang sat around a table in a pub, and I think 10 days before we were due to start filming, we realised we'd cast Guy Fawkes and nobody else, and we had 10 speaking parts in it. So I went through my phone and rang the actors on my phone who I thought would be right, and so that's what I did. So I did the casting, and it was only when they all arrived and Nick got there, and Nick, because he's a trained classical actor, asked a really important sort of question that should be at the heart of any acting role. And so he said, "So who am I playing?" we hadn't worked that bit out. We were, oh yeah, he'd be good. And then I think over lunch we just sort of handed the script round and just worked out who was going to be what. And I think Barnaby and Nick made Tom laugh with a particular bit, and we thought, right, they can have that bit, and yeah, so...
Are we going to be able to play this later, do you think, if you've got it here?
Yeah, I gave you a DVD, so...
Yeah. Well, you know, for the audience, there's...
Yeah. So have you got them now?
No, yeah, we'll play them a bit later, I think. We'll ask you more questions first.
Okay.
Right. Because I can't see the tech man anywhere. No, he's not there.
Yeah, they're only short, well, most of them are short, because we pay for them ourselves, so...
No, you obviously wrote all of these, and it's the plotters.
So, what do we do first? So the first one we did was a film called Cleaning Up, which has Mark Gatiss as a hitman and Louise Jameson, who was leader in Doctor Who, a landlady of the B&B. And it's got various other Doctor Who people in it. Nick Briggs is in it very briefly. Who else is in it? Tom Allen, who's in some Big Finish is in it. Anthony Keach, who has done Big Finish stuff, is in it. Various people. Tracy Ann Oberman's in it as well. And that, we spent a bit of our inheritance, my grandfather died, and we spent a bit of our inheritance on that. And that's been quite well received and stuff. And it's 14 minutes long. And we spent quite a lot of money on it and stuff. And then we've made a spooky one called Revealing Diary for a competition. And the appeal of that competition was, it was for Sci-Fi London's 48-hour filming competition. So you get
48 hours?
Yeah, so you get a brief on the Saturday morning at 11 o'clock, where you get the title of your film, a line of dialogue, a prop that you've got to get into it, and you score extra points if you can get a theme into it. It's essential, but you score extra points. And by 11 o'clock on Monday, you have to deliver a film between 3 and 5 minutes long, with all of those elements in it, having written it, shot it, and edited it. And we didn't quite finish on time. And so we finished it in a week. And so we did that, which was more than anything, just to go, should we make another film? And this is the way to do one quickly. And
who does that star? Have you got anything?
It stars Keira Jansen and Laura Doddington. Keira Jansen, who used to be in Hollyoaks, and Laura Doddington, who's in The Love Suspect, who I meet through Big Finish. Literally, when we were talking about doing this competition, we thought, we don't know what we're going to do, so should we just see who's free that particular weekend, and who do we like, who's funny, who will put up with us. And we just rang around our friends. So we weren't sure what script was going to be, but Chris Petts, who used to work at the Mill doing special effects for Doctor Who, I knew, and he kind of said, oh, well, I'd like to do something with you. So we're doing this film, do you want to come in? So he came in, you know, a fairly senior special effects guy who does a lot of films and stuff. He held a boom, the microphone, for us, because we didn't have any, because we made a special effect out of cardboard. And,
what's new?
It was an odd way to make a film, because we got the brief on 11, and at 1 o'clock I'd written a script, and then we just went for it and tried to get it filmed. So it was manic, and we didn't have any sleep. And so is that how TV? That's just that's
exactly the same.
Can we rewind a bit? Obviously, you work with your brother. So, growing up, the roles that you both have now, were there sort of early signs that you would both be going in that direction? I mean, obviously, you get on in order to be able to work together, or do you kind of work in separate rooms?
It's weird though, because we spent years avoiding him, and I'm the older brother. I'm 5 years older than him, so I'm used to just telling him what I like, what I don't like, what I think of what he's done. That's rubbish. And he's read my stuff since, you know, the first stuff I was writing when I was like 8 years old was Doctor Who stories where he got killed. Over and over again. His favourite one is the one where he falls into a river of lava, crawls out of it, and is then killed by Cybermen.
It's got to be made.
And so we kind of, when he first worked in documentaries, he went to Australia for 6 months and filmed this documentary following this couple who tamed wild horses and then rode them from one end of Australia to the other. And he went off and did that. And when he came back, he wanted some help with the narration scripts that he'd put on the documentary. So I read over what he'd done and corrected the spelling and phrased some of it a bit better and stuff. But that was just, he sent me a favour and kind of thing. And then he he'd been working on something. He'd been working on some horrible job that was just eating away. And he said, who does the, you're into Doctor Who, you know people in Doctor Who, kind of. He said, the documentaries on the DVDs, they're really good. Do you know the guy who does them? And I'm like, well, I know Dan, who commissions them. Like, yeah, I'd really like to have a go at that. They look like there's a bit of thought about them, that if you were given one of those, you could do something interesting. There's enough money to do, they're not expensive, but there's enough money to do interesting things with them, talk to interesting people. So I said, well, I'm going to this pub thing next week, and Dan will be there. I'll introduce you to him. So Tom came along, and I took him over to Dan, who just assumed we were pitching together. And Dan needed somebody to pick up a job that had fallen away. And he just went, if I give you £1, he said, I want a 15-minute documentary for this particular story. And it's not a making of, it's something to go alongside the making of. What can you do? And we went, we'll have a think. And we came back to him with an idea, and he liked it, and we delivered it, and he went, right, here's. And Tom and I did kind of sit there in the pub going, are we going to do this together then? How's that going to work? What? So we had to kind of hammer out.
So that was your first proper fusion.
Yeah, and we had to hammer out really simple things like who's going to be in charge? How are we going to decide what we do? And so we took the decision that, because I was used to writing to a brief, he'd be in charge and I'd be the employee. And that meant that if I annoyed him, he could fire me, and if he annoyed me, I could walk away. And so it was all quite tentative, just assuming it would work. We were brothers, and we'd known enough people who worked together as brothers or partners or husband and wife and whatever, and just seeing that crash and die and stuff. But we were just like, it would be very well, and it worked really well. And we had a good time. And
what was the DVD?
So we made for William Hartnell's story called The Ark, we made a documentary about the influence of H.G. Wells on Doctor Who. And we got Matthew Sweet in, who in The Crimson Horror, there's a monster named after, who's a historian who he wrote Big Finish in about 2004. I really loved Doctor Who, I'd like to write Doctor Who. And I read his book on the Victorians, and I received the letter because I was doing some secretarial bits and pieces of Big Finish. And I went, come and write a story for me. And when he'd written the story, I realised he lived around the corner from me, so we went to the pub and stuff.
It's the pub, isn't it? That's where you got to go.
It's
the pub, everybody. That's where you've got to go.
There's a thread running through it all.
It's very important. That's one of my writers. If you want to be a writer, go to the pub.
I'll remember that when I speak to the missus later.
Yeah, it's research. So I knew him, so I asked him, this is what we're thinking of doing. He said, the person, as well as talking to me, you should speak to Dominic Sambrook, who's another TV historian and stuff. And we thought, how do we get in touch with him? He said, I'll give him a ring. Okay. And then I spoke to a couple of people I knew were into H.G. Wells. And we kind of just
put it together.
And
I haven't seen it yet. Is it good?
Yeah. It was good enough that we got more work. That's generally how you know.
Did you do the Crotons as well? Was that yours?
You did the Cybermen, didn't you? On Tomb of the Cybermen, I think you did the Cybermen one.
What did we do? No, my wife's on the Tomb of the Cybermen DVD, talking about how it uses Egyptology or doesn't, and that's what she archaeologist-y type person. I've worked on so many, but some of them I've worked on where I've just helped with the interviews, or I've done a bit of research on stuff. So I've done loads, but some of them I got to go to Chris Bigmead, who wrote the final Tom Baker story. I went to his house to interview him, and it was great because he made us coffee and stuff. And I was just sat in his house going, "This is great. I'm drinking coffee." A bit of a natter about Doctor Who.
Did he measure out the sugar? Like mathematical?
Yeah,
cubes.
It was all in impossible shapes.
Right.
But so I've worked on all sorts of things. I've also appeared on them as well.
Yeah.
So the Crotons, me, a writer called Joe Lister, who's written Torchwood, and Sarah Jane, and the comedian Josie Long, we sat in Sarah Jane's attic.
That's right.
And talked about the Crotons. I think we were the last thing to be filmed in Sarah Jane's.
You were very positive about the Crotons.
Well, the idea was that we did the Crotons, we did Tom Baker's story called The Nightmare of Eden, we did a Sylvester McCoy story called Dragonfire, and we did the Paul McGann TV movie. And the brief was that all of those stories were not necessarily the favourite stories of Doctor Who fans and stuff. So could we basically natter about what we liked? And that wasn't necessarily to only talk about the good things. It was say what you like. So it's going, I really like the bit in the TV movie where it rains and Paul McGann's wig goes all curly. And Grace's hair goes curly. And just for that last scene, they've got the same hair. Amazingly, they kept that in the documentary because it's, they thought it was funny. So, that was nice. And I got to go around the Doctor Who set and see it. And for lunch.
I love the fact that you're on stage talking about Doctor Who and you're a guest at a Doctor Who convention and you're still geeking out about being on the set of Doctor Who.
Well, it's very exciting.
Great, yeah.
It is. Well, I'm just a fan.